Welcome to Popplers Music. My name is Josh. Let's talk CVP-900 series Clavinova. Today we're going to be taking a look at a general overview of the CVP-900 series. This video is intended to be an overview for the first time, second time you've been sitting down at your new CVP-905 or 909. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a CVP-905. Most of the features I'm going to cover cross over between the two models. However, there are many features that are on the 909 that I'll cover in a different video that are not found in the 905. First, let's take a look at your display panel. Moving from left to right, your power button is found on the far left. This is how you turn on and off your Clavinova. To turn it on, you can press the button. Turn it off, you have to hold it for a few seconds. Moving over, this is your master volume, which can be used to set the volume of the piano. You likely won't need to use the demo button. It's used more for Yamaha dealers to show off different samples and features of the Clavinova. Moving farther over, you have your metronome button on and off, transpose, tap tempo, and tempo set. Moving over, you have your style control. This allows you to click a button and get quickly to a certain genre for your styles. It'll control the main screen when you push the button. Moving over underneath style control, your accompaniment on and off, that has to do with your backing band when using your styles. Autofill, your intro buttons. These have to do with how much texture / how many measures the intro will take before coming in and kind of starting your main rhythm for each style. Main variations, as you move from A to D, it gets more and less complex as far as the texture, amount of instrument sounds behind you. Break allows you to add a fill when you're playing. Ending is very similar to intro in the sense of how long and how complex is your ending going to be in this case. When you click ending, it's going to wrap up the song in the key that you were last playing in. Sync stop, when you stop playing, the backing band will stop playing. Sync start, when you hit a key, that will start your backing band. And start stop allows you to start the style control. Assignable above the style control and next to style has to do with assignable buttons. You can actually program those to be different features found in the Clavinova. Okay, moving to the middle, you'll see your nice screen here. This is a touch screen, huge addition compared to a prior CVP series where it was all buttons around the screen. It was a little tricky to navigate. Everything that you can click here on the screen is available on the dashboard in broad strokes. For example, the style here is exactly what I was talking about with the style on these buttons here, and also the style control. You can actually take this and slide it over to get other options similar to the style control section I was just reviewing. You can then minimize this by scrolling over. Sometimes it's a little finicky, so I may do it a few times. All of your buttons on your menu bar here on the very bottom of the screen can be switched out. Maybe we'll go over that later. This is your voice / instrument section. If you click on the instrument, you can change your instruments. We'll go over the voice control on the right hand side of the panel when we get there. You can turn on left and layer here. And there's many controls that I'll review here in a moment on the screen, but that's your main options: your style, your instrument, song, and your menu at the bottom, registration bank up top. Moving on to the right-hand side of the Clavinova, you have a rotary dial, which helps dialing in certain things when you're scrolling through menus. As if you had turned on the piano, hit home, and it'll bring you onto your main screen on the touch screen. Moving to the right here, we have registration memory. This will allow you to create 8 different presets in each bank. You can have as many banks as you need. You could have one for, if you're a church musician, you could have it for each mass that you're playing for. If you are a creative musician at home, you could have this for every song or genre that you're trying to play in. Really, it just allows you to have different setups for the piano at a click of a button. And your registration banks can be cycled through with the plus and minus button. You can create new ones by pushing both, and you can add to your registration bank by hitting memory and then the button here. Skipping up, piano room. If you are looking to have a piano-centric experience, you can hit piano room and it will turn off all of the buttons and all of the other features other than piano. A little bit of features having to do with transposing and styles when you're in the piano room. Song control is mostly your recording setup. However, general use with the play and stop and fast forward and rewind is found here as well, but I use it mostly for record and then of course start and stop when you're dealing with any different songs. On the far right here is voice. This is where I was saying you can access piano, organ. These are your main categories for each sound sample, also known as voices with Yamaha. Brass and woodwind, percussion, synth. So you can click them here, but you can also access them on the main screen by clicking on the instrument. At the very bottom over here is one-touch settings. This is actually a really handy and nice set of 4 buttons that Yamaha included. When you're working with different styles, there's hundreds of styles on here. Cool beat, jazz, movie, country. Yamaha took the time to make 4 different presets that work with every single style. That's part of the creative endeavor with the CVP, is going through and picking the sounds and the samples and the instruments and the combinations, whether it's, piano and string or piano and organ, piano and flute, that goes with the style that you're working to play with. Taking a look at the touch screen, we're going to spend most of our time here on the touch screen now. If you click style, this gets you into your style select menu. You can go through and your top tabs are your main categories, followed by subgenres, followed by the actual styles themselves. You're not actually clicking one until you click a new style, in which case you have now armed that style. Okay? When you're done, you can hit close in the bottom right hand corner or click home, as we were talking about earlier. I like to hit home. Close works just fine. I picked acoustic jazz. Now I'm going to pick for my layer. I clicked on, go back and notice how I click on the instrument that I'm looking to change. You have your main and your layer. I always like to just touch the instrument, then I know that I'm actually clicking the correct, whether it's your main instrument or your layer. And then because I'm working with a jazz option here, I'm going to go to solo and I'm just going to take I'm going to scroll down. You see arrows on the side. That means you have more instruments that you can actually pick from. Again, you can hit close, go back to your main screen. Now I've got a piano that I can pull up with my main. I've got saxophone I can pull up with my layer. Reviewing that, I just worked with my style control. I worked on selecting different instrument sounds. And the default left has to do with the style that you're working with. So this would be a nice setup for the acoustic jazz. Okay. Moving over to the right-hand side of the screen, if I wanted to save this, if I said, this is the perfect setup for this style, I love this style, I play with this setup all the time, you can click memory, 1, and now you've set your main registration. I always like to have a registration where I can always get back to piano. So I like to hit memory 2. And now I can always go back and forth between my favorite setup and always have an easy way to get back to my concert grand piano. So as far as picking the instrument sounds, that's the musician's job to go through and find out the main instruments that you're looking to use and have them set up on your presets. As far as accessing styles, you need to go through and pick which styles you're looking to work with as far as any backing band. And now let's work on recording. Okay, if you're going to be working on recording on a routine basis, you really need to get to know song control. Okay, so when you press recording right away, this screen is going to pop up, your song recording screen. Sometimes it pops up and looks like this. And the first time that this ever happened, it took me quite a while to figure out what to do. You simply look next to channel. There's a little dotted, grayed out arrow next to channel. You click that and it drops down the rest of the menu as you're supposed to see. You have a 16-track recording. For those of you that don't know what 16 tracks means, think of it as a lane of memory, and you can fill up each lane with different instrument sounds. You could have a very complex recording that you do one at a time for all 16, or you can see that there's certain lanes, certain numbers that are designated so that you can have an entire band playing, plus you playing piano, plus you playing a myriad of instruments, and it records everything at the same time. Most of the people that I work with are looking to record one instrument at a time, so that's what I'm going to review, and it's a little bit more difficult, so we'll go through that. This could be as easy as hitting record, as we just did. Start playing, record your piece, done, and it could be that easy. If you need to layer or do one instrument or one hand at a time or whatever it may be, I like to click right hand, which got rid of all of the instrument sounds over here, minus this one, and then I get rid of that. Now I'm dealing with one track, okay? Now we can go through and record. Before we're doing that, I like to have my tempo on anytime I'm recording. It's too fast, so I'm going to slow it down. Every time you have to hit stop, and then you can go ahead and hit play to hear your recording back. If your masterpiece is complete, you don't have to do anything else. If you have more work to do, you can click the record button. You come over here, you switch your track. We just record on track 1. If we want to record on track 2, we can now go through. I like to turn on my metronome every time to make sure I'm playing in tempo. And now you're going to hear the first instrument sound with first recording with me playing along. I'm going to hit stop again. You can play it back to hear what you just recorded. And then from there, you'll notice when we first started recording, there was not this little red arrow pointing down towards a little save disk icon. If you are happy with your recording, you can go through and start saving by clicking that button. I always like to tell people when you are in this menu, start off by understanding that this little up arrow means you are not at the root folder. And by root folder, I mean, think about being on a desktop computer and you click in your documents, and then in your documents you have a myriad of different folders, and then you go into the next folder and into the next folder. Well, this up arrow is saying you're not in your main documents folder right now. User, if I had a USB plugged in, it would say USB. For now, we're going to click user. And so now you know that you're at the highest level folder for what you're trying to do, whether it's recording onto the Clavinova or onto your flash drive. From here, you could hit save here and you could save your song. However, you see many different folders here. We could create a folder. And again, if you're a church musician, you could name it the date of the mass that you're recording for. Or you could do a month that you're recording for, or you could put your name on it. If you are an educator and you're working at a concert, you can put your concert date on there and you can organize by your concert. What I'm getting at is you have flexibility with how you organize your folders. So you can add a new folder and then save it within there. To add a new folder, it's in the bottom left hand of the screen, little plus in a folder. You type your new folder name, you hit OK, and then you can actually access it and save. Otherwise, you save here, you name it, and you have your folder, or you have your file saved. I'm going to hit cancel. This is just getting you familiar with the Clavinova. The Clavinova, as you know, since you went through and purchased it, has many different features. You've got access to hundreds, over 1,000 instrument sounds, samples, voices, as Yamaha calls it. You have hundreds of style controls. You have registration memory. You have ability to transpose, metronome, everything. So you have a lot of features on the CVP. So this is meant to just get you started, get you thinking about what you can do, get you familiar with the different sections and kind of the entry-level options and broad strokes. We will have other videos that go into just very specific functions on the CVP. And if you have certain questions, you can always reach out to us at Popplers Music. I watch the comments that are in the videos and look for ideas for videos, or I've had people reach out and email me at josh@popplersmusic.com And I've made videos based on people's questions, especially if I get a bunch of them that are the same. So feel welcome to reach out to us if you have questions about the CVP. One more thing before we go, to make sure that you're utilizing the style control to the fullest that you have ability to right now. Underneath, I'm going to show you guys how to remove one of your main settings here. I don't really use the lyrics button, so I'm going to hold that down and I'm going to hit a little X next to it, and I'm going to get rid of it. And what I find to be a lot more useful is this split and fingering option. I held onto it, split and fingering, and then I click the blank option. I'm going to go home, and I'm just going to talk you through what the split point and the fingering type is. The split point, when you have your style armed, you're going to see it defaults to F sharp below middle C. Here at the split point, you can actually change that to any key that you'd like. That works pretty well most of the time, but sometimes, depending on what you're working with, you have to change the split point entirely. And then working with fingering type, AI fingered is for one note. Fingered is actually to analyze chords. If I played an E minor chord right now with a F sharp, it would know that that's an altered E minor chord, and the backing band would actually play that. If I played a C major chord, it's going to know that I played a C major chord, and the backing band is going to play behind me and play that. I'm going to take sync start off. Full keyboard I like to use when I'm playing piano as my actual instrument or voice that I have selected, so that it's actually following my entire chord structure, my bass in my left hand, my harmony in between, and my melody. It takes all of that into account, as opposed to the AI fingered, which will have a split point, and I call it a band in the hand, because you can actually control the band with one hand while you're playing a solo or the melody in the right hand. You have other options as well. If you don't know your chords, you can do single finger, where the technology is actually going to try and figure out what key and note based on one note. If you play a D, and depending on what you're playing in the right hand, it's going to try and figure it out if it's D major, D minor. So for those of you that actually don't know your chords yet, you can use a single finger, single note option. Okay, I would consider that a introduction to your CVP. Take a look at other videos for specific questions, and again, feel welcome to reach out if you have questions that you'd like us to make a video on. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, we'd be more than happy to help. Please feel welcome to reach out to us at popplersmusic.com or give us a call.